My name is Dylan Richardson. Today we're going to be talking about what makes a great sales professional. You'll hear me talk about a lot in this video on how we're able to get yeses. That's the ultimate goal as a sales professional, is we have to get that yes from the customer. That's what closes and that's what finalizes the deal. Well, if we're not closing, we're not finalizing deals, we're not making any money. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. Example I want to use is, if I'm a sales professional, and let's say I work in a fishing department or a fishing store, how do I get a customer to buy this fishing pole? Well, there's 3 important characteristics we're going to talk about throughout this video on how I believe that we're able to maximize yeses, how to close and finalize deals. Those 3 points are empathy and ego drive. The second point is building potential rather than experience. And the third is proper training. Each point I'll take, we'll talk about, we'll understand, and hopefully by the end of the video, you'll agree with me and you'll see, these 3 traits are really important in order to get these yeses. All right, so the first point I want to talk about is empathy and ego drive. So what is empathy? You're able to relate to your customers and understand what they're feeling about a certain product or service. You can't just have one path as a sales professional. You have to be flexible and versatile, be able to shift directions at any point, any given time a customer may walk in through that front door. So if a customer has a certain feeling about something, you have to make changes or modifications to the path you're taking and able to adjust to the path they want to take in order to buy that product. Let's say they want to buy a product from a competitor, we have to be able to make modification adjustments in order for them to buy from us. We have to make them feel happy, we have to make them have trust in us and able to maximize that deal as the best we can. Second point is ego drive. So what drives you? What will you do to get that yes? That's kind of what we talked about a few minutes ago, is what direction will you take? You can't teach ego drive. It has to come from within. So what will you do in order to get that sale done? You can't bring too much intensity into a sale. You have to be balanced. We'll talk about that a little later. But you have to have, direction, motivation, and drive to get that sale done. You don't want that competitor to get that sale done before you do, because that just loses money for you and it hurts your company. So ego drive comes within yourself. You can't teach it, but you have to have that drive. I talked about a little before is staying balanced. You can't bring too much intensity into a sale deal because you don't want to scare them off. So you have to have a certain level of balance, but at the same time, you want to get that sale done. Like I said, you don't want that competitor to get that sale done before you, but you can't bring too much fire to the fire. That just doesn't evolve into a good equation. So having empathy doesn't mean being sympathetic, but at the same time you're able to change direction, you're able to change course to understand where they're coming from and how you want that deal and how you're able to get that deal done, because they might not feel or think the same way you do, but you have to change your course, make modifications, alterations on how you think you can get to their part and get that sale done. All right, this brings me to my second point, building potential over experience. Potential is all about growth, building growth, having growth, not maximizing at just one certain part. You'll see a lot of companies, if they're deciding between 2 sales professionals on who they want to hire, let's say one guy's got 30 years of experience. Let's say he's been with a certain company for 15 years and he's just stayed at that one job title. He's never got to that next level, or, he tells you, these are the customers I can bring in right off the bat. But that's it. That's what he provides. Let's say it's 100 customers. But let's say this other guy, let's say he's only been in sales for 5 to 10 years. But each year he's getting better and better and better. Which one do you want to take? Do you want to take the guy with experience that, he can only bring in a certain amount of customers and that's it? Or do you want to take this young buck, who can bring in more customers as he gets older and gets more experience? That's the person I want to take, because he can maximize profit, he can maximize customers for our company. Yes, there does come with some risk, But at the same time, I think the gain and the advantage is much higher than the risk, because you can see each year he's getting better and better and better. Eventually, he'll overtake that guy with 30 years of experience, and those 100 customers he can bring in, those 100 can now become 200, 300, 400, 500. And sales is mainly fundamental. If you put too much emphasis on experience, you're taking away from empathy and ego drive that we just talked about. And you're just building an average sales professional. We don't want to be average, we want to be great. Average only gets us so far, great gets us to the top. Whatever we do in life, you want to be great. If you want to be average, then you're not living life to your fullest potential. So be great. Don't build mediocrity. Don't build average sales professionals. Don't place too much emphasis on experience. Look at that potential and see, what can that sales professional guy or lady can be in 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Is he going to be where this guy's at, or is he going to be past it? That's what you got to look at. The last point I want to talk about is roles of training. People don't understand how important training is at a young part of being a sales professional. If you don't get proper training and you just get thrown into sales, you're not gonna be great, because you're not gonna understand the methods and the efficiency you have to take in order to get to that next level. It's vital to have proper training. It's vital to understand, what methods you need to take in order to get to the top. But at the same time, you just don't want to follow a book. You have to let these sales professionals, make some adjustments to the road they want to take in life, the road they want to take in sales. If you just keep them to a book, this, you need to do this, you need to do that, boom, 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 how is that beneficial? How are you building potential? You're going back to experience, and then they're just gonna cap or maximize at a certain amount of customers, and that's it. So, yes, they need to understand the basics. They need to understand the basics of training, understand what it takes to be great, but at the same time, you have to let them be their own. Each great sales professional does their own thing. They're not all the same, or else everyone would just be average. The great ones do things a little differently from the people that are average, and that's what you have to kind of tell them. You have to tell them the rules, you have to go over proper training, all that's vital, the proper methods you need to take, but you can make adjustments along the way. If you see something that I don't, then go with that. You might not see something that another sales professional sees at a young age. That's good, because everyone's mind is different. You're creative, you're unique in your own way. You may not think it so, but you are. So if this guy sees something that you might not see, let him take that road and see where it goes. Maybe that brings in more customers for your company, and that's what we want. So, in conclusion, after reading the article about what makes a good sales professional, I totally agree with everything the article has to say. I only took 3 points from the article. There's many, many more on that list, but I thought these 3 characteristics were, I thought the most important. If you want to get into sales, you need to understand these 3 points, and you need to apply them in your everyday living, everyday sales life. You have to have empathy and ego drive. That's number 1. If you want to be great, those 2 characteristics you have to have. Able to change course, understand where that customer is coming from, and able to relate to them. You have to want to get that yes. We want to close that deal. We want to maximize that deal, maximize profit the best we can. Can't teach ego drive, has to come from within. Have that grit, have that determination, want to get better. That's where ego drive comes into play. But you have to be balanced in ego drive. You can't have too much intensity. You don't want to scare off the customer. So having balance, but at the same time wanting to get that yes, vital to have. Building your potential. Each year try to get more customers. Maximize your customers the best you can. Don't cap it or don't peak at a certain number. Keep going, keep going, keep going. That can tie back into ego drive, because you want to get more, you want to get more, you want to get more. I think all 3 points do tie in with each other at some point. Proper training ties in with potential, and the same thing with ego drive. Sales, like I said, is mainly fundamental. We place too much emphasis on experience, and we're taking away from that ego drive and that empathy. They all tie in to a certain point. I thought these 3 points were the most important from the article, but I highly suggest you read that article. And you know, I really enjoyed reading it. I thought I learned a lot from it, and I hope in this video presentation that I just did, you can understand where I'm coming from and you can start applying this in your everyday sales life. Thanks.